This is the Spokane Valley Transit Center. It's a big transit center. It's not too busy right at this moment, but it is a Saturday. Looks like they get a lot of business here. Spokane Valley is the second largest city in Spokane County after Spokane. Notice the theme here? And it has a population of over 100,000 people. So about half of that of Spokane, but it's a quite different place, as we will be seeing briefly. So the bus I took here is one of the major routes in the Spokane Transit Authority system. The number 9 goes from the plaza to here, and it was longer and uglier than I thought. I forgot how far we are out. Spokane is not a super transit-oriented city like most mid-sized American metros, but there is an urban core. There's some nice walkable neighborhoods, and then away here, there's just miles and miles of this. And usually when I go to a city, I like to capture, something that's, the center of the city. Like, that's where I'll start. This is the center of the city, what we see right here. City Hall's right that way. And so there is no discernible center, either commercial or residential, other than this gigantic stroad. So that is what I'll be seeing today. And hopefully I'll see something that'll change my mind a little bit. But right now, I'm not feeling too optimistic. Not only is this unappealing, this is actually, dangerous when you're a pedestrian. Well, maybe not right now on a Saturday. I think it's a while between stoplights. So some places, like when you get stroadism, it's just aesthetic. And then you get into places like this where it's actually like, yeah, you effectively can't shop or walk around in this area. I guess I'm in a surly mood today. Sorry. So that is Spokane Valley City Hall. Actually, that's a really nice building. It's just there's no neighborhood around it. There's a Les Schwab and an Arby's. And there's the City Hall. Nice building, though. Then behind it, there's something called the University City. Do not know what that means. And over here is a library and like a nice park. So I'm going to go see if the library's open, see if there's anything going on there. And then I'm going to reverse course. That's the Spokane Valley Library. Nice architecture inside and out, and nice library on the inside. Looks like that's the same style as in Liberty Park, and I wonder if they had the same contractor, even though those are two different systems. Okay, so I figured I should say something to be fair, which is that this area has developed really quickly, and a lot of this has been built very quickly, and as you can see, they're still building the park. There's the plans for the park. So some of the things that I consider to be disheartening, unaesthetic, bad planning, those might be rectified in the future. Also, I had some water and went to a nice library, so I'm slightly less grumpy. Okay, but there is more to see. So I'm walking southwards, actually in the direction of back towards the transit center, but I'm actually going to turn, and there was one little interesting thing I saw. So this is Appleway Boulevard, which is a major road off and on through this area. And as you can see, it stops here, and ahead, that is the Appleway Trail. As you can see, this is not like super natural trail like the Centennial Trail, but it looks like it has some nice green space, so I guess we'll find out. Like I said, not exactly the most scenic, beautiful nature trail in Spokane. This is not bowl and pitcher, but I'm not complaining. Having a fun time walking along. I do not know what university that would be. So one thing is, all my complaints will go away about, this isn't my ideal layout for a city if there is housing. And so you can see there's some, medium density apartment buildings there. That's good. Then you can see on the other side, there's mini storage. There's a lot of mini storage and stuff like that on the road between Spokane and here. And not that they asked for my permission, but this is just like, would I want to live here? In some ways, it would be tolerable, but not ideal. I've seen these Lime scooters all around Spokane and the area, even in places where, I don't think that would make a whole lot of intuitive sense. Saw them in places on a Centennial Trail, like east of Spokane Community College. I guess that does work for micromobility, and maybe since I'm, exploring those things, I should know about that. Should I ride a Lime scooter? Enough people comment that I should, and I will. Dine, discover, shop, explore. Download the free Spokane Valley app. So apparently, maybe there is more than what I see. And I just need an app on my phone to find out. You can see this street here. If you look at those houses, those are obviously older than a lot of what we've seen. And at the time that those were built, those were probably farmhouses in an unincorporated part of the county, I would guess. Well, and just to confirm, 100 feet later, you can see you have lots that maybe you couldn't have a working farm there, but you could certainly keep a horse or two or some goats. So looks like we don't have to go far before we see the rural and agricultural past of Spokane Valley. So every maybe quarter mile, third of a mile, something like that, along the path, there's a little road that goes back towards the center of town, so to speak. And so at any point when I get tired of walking this trail, basically I just have to wait 5 minutes and take a turn to the left. And I'm going to walk back along the main road is the plan for now. Don't know how far I'm going to walk right now. It's a Saturday. The temperature is going to get up to 80. It was kind of cool and foggy this morning, but the cloud cover has burnt off, and 80 Fahrenheit is not like super arduous, but without shade and when you're walking, yeah, that can build up. So that's another reason today I'm not in an epic mood. Here's another road. That's the road I'm going to walk back on that direction. Look at all that mini storage, apartment buildings. You can find the older houses over there. I'm going to walk, I think, 2 more roads, and I'm going to turn to the left. Couple things. First, you can see some people ahead. As is my usual practice, I've not tried to show people, but you've probably seen, a couple people using the trail, and it is pretty busy. Makes sense. It's day after 4th of July, 3-day weekend. It's a Saturday. So not super packed, but, it does get some use. Quite a bit, actually. Then the other thing is, if I continued this way, the trail goes on for a while. I'm just considering maybe that should be, if I'm trying to complete the logic and get to Liberty Lake, that's probably the best way to do it, not the Centennial Trail, since I've already walked a couple miles here. And I think it's 6 miles to Liberty Lake, which is, a bit of a walk, but not terrible. So maybe I'll do that another day. The other thing I was going to say is I actually could walk back on the road, the Appleway Trail, instead of along the road. Probably a little bit more pleasant, but I did want to see all of this and show some more on my way back. Trail was pleasant. Let's see how this is. So this is Sprague Avenue, which also goes through downtown Spokane. But as you can see here, you can see on the other side of the road, we have little houses there. And the way those houses look, those look like they might have been built when this was a 2-lane road. I don't know. I mean, that could be anywhere from the 30s through the 70s. But obviously, those residential houses were not built when it looked like this. Maybe it would be fair, show all sides of this town to walk down one of these streets and see a nice little residential neighborhood somewhere. That would be kind of dangerous to do right now. So this video is not going to show all of Spokane Valley. Like I said, I think it has 100,000 people here. And maybe what I'm showing is not totally representative, but it is what I'm seeing today. And so it's continued this way for a while. Not a lot to say. One thing about places like this is, retail districts like this may not be my favorite, but a lot of times it does allow people to have small businesses that wouldn't otherwise be able to do that. But on the other hand, I can't go and see them because I'm not walking across that road. So yeah, it's been like this for a while, and it will be like this for a while. So what is this intersection like? Walgreens on one side, Rite Aid on the other. I guess I'd have to go with Walgreens. I used to work at Walgreens in Chile. And for all of my complaining about stroady wastelands, look over here. We have my favorite thing. It's a Dollar Tree next to Grocery Outlet, but also we have a Value Village. And I've not been in the Value Village for a long time. Most of them closed down or changed brands, so it'll be interesting to see what that's like. Sentimental for me too. When I was a child, my grandmother used to bring me on shopping trips to Value Village where we'd spend like over $100, which was in the 1980s was a lot of money. And my grandmother passed away, so it'll probably remind me of those days when I was a kid. I just finished shopping at Value Village. It's different. They have self-scanners, which is not something I'm used to. And I saw some of my grandmother's books there, which was kind of sad little thing. I mean, reminded me of her, but it's also sad. But now we're going to the Dollar Tree. So the Dollar Tree, I got a hardback Doctor Who graphic novel, and at the grocery outlet I found some good stuff. So as much as I complain, I understand the need for retail. And then I also saw this over here, and I was interested because right here we actually have a wall of old businesses, and I can't tell if they're really old or just meant to look old. And this might have been like, you know, Spokane Valley downtown in the year like 1972 or something. I don't know. That'd be an interesting thing to know, but I don't know. Anyway, like I did a lot of shopping, a lot of walking. It's still a hot day. So right now my only concern is really getting back home. So there's an entire heritage museum for Spokane Valley. And this is where I start to feel a little bit guilty about, you know, being so curt in my treatment of this city. Maybe there is actually a history going back here, you know, for a long time, and this is people's cherished home. Then why would they do this with it? And of course, you know, native people have lived here for thousands of years. So what it looks like right now is not the entire story, but it's what I saw today. Okay, that's an obvious philosophical point. And like I said, I still need to get home. So we last saw the comic book shop in the mall. Okay, well, I'm done here anyway. And they said they had other locations with more comic books, and they did. I like this local business. And like I said, even though I might say bad things about the aesthetics, it does allow people to have local businesses and stuff like that. Anyway, since I've made that point, my only goal now really is to get back to the transit center. And this is the point where, yeah, I really have seen enough of this that I want to have seen enough of. And I just want to get back to where I'm going. And just as soon as I say there's nothing left to see, there's a big old streamlined train there. And as far as I can tell, since it says events and catering, that's a restaurant in an old train. So that's pretty awesome. And I was a little bit too harsh because there are still things to see. But also, I am waiting for that next light. So there's a lot of data, a lot of theory, a lot of opinions about cities and settlement patterns and demographics and development. I have a book by Jane Jacobs in my backpack. And I have opinions about those things, but my main thing is to show some of my personal experiences. So, you know, I had some opinions about today. Didn't show the entire city. Maybe I was a little bit unfair, but hopefully what I showed does show what I showed. I'm getting tired. And gives you a more idea. Spokane has some really nice old places with good architecture and good neighborhoods. And then it has places like this, which aren't exactly my cup of tea. But you get to judge for yourself. And right now, all I'm thinking about is going over there and getting on a bus. Thanks for watching. Actually, one more statement I wanted to make, especially for people interested in transit. There's 15-minute frequency here, and the next BRT line is going to be north on Division. Maybe because this is more suburban, more scattered. There's not, as far as I know, any active development here, but there might be plans. But even though it might not look like it right now, I can actually imagine a BRT line here, and how that would change transit and maybe change development. Because there is empty space here, and could you put some transit-oriented development, put some high-density housing or medium-density housing along this road and solve a problem? You could. Now, whether people get around to doing that, I don't know. But, you know, I was like, you could put BRT here, and even in a perfect world, you could put light rail here. So that's just a thought for the future.